Hi, Tracy Lewis from Stuff and Things. I have my trip planning hat on right now because I just finished making our journey from Washington State to the Florida Keys. And I thought I would share tools that I use on the web and then also show the hard copies of what I print out to take with us in the truck. You never know where you're going to be, and you don't have any guarantee of cellular coverage to have access to the internet. So we actually kind of go old school. We do some high tech and then we print it all out. We haven't bought any software. We use pretty much what's out there for free on the internet. The main tool that I use for the mapping part is Google Maps, and I will show you the things I do with it. I then also have the websites for the various campground memberships that I have purchased, and I will go into some of those. I've already done a demonstration of Thousand Trails, which has not changed, so that is in my campground membership series that I did. And I'm not sure if I went into RPI, so I'm going to demonstrate today Passport America's interface, Coast to Coast, which is a new membership for me, and RPI. Starting with Google Maps, what I like to do, if I already have some campgrounds in mind that I've gotten from, usually I start with the Passport America physical book, which I will show later. I will pick some locations that take me across the direction I'm trying to go. And I already have an example of one done, but let's try and pretend we're starting over again. In the case of the one that I've done here, that's the one I'm going to repeat, so I might have to go back and forth. But I want to show you, let's say I want to go to a place called Verde Valley, which I know is a Thousand Trails park. It's in the Passport America book, which is nice, so I can actually find pretty much everything in this Passport America book, though not everything is half off. So starting with Verde Valley, I think of it as Verde Valley Thousand Trails. So when I type Verde Valley and nothing more, now it knows what I want, but here you can see Verde Valley RV and Camping Resort East Thousand Trails, but let's pretend I didn't see that. I would just type it in as I think of it, which is Verde Valley Thousand Trails, which you can see this tool already knows kind of the slang names that people think of the various campgrounds as. It has a really good campground database. I don't know how they've done it, but Google has a lot of resources available to them. So you can trust that you can type your campground name as you think of it, and it will most likely find it. So Verde Valley Thousand Trails, it shows me the one that it sees, and I see East Thousand Trails. So I'm going to click it. I then see Verde Valley RV and Camping Resort. So my name was the Verde Valley Thousand Trails, but you'll see that it found it, and its official name is Verde Valley RV and Camping Resort. The Thousand Trails campgrounds are called any name you can think of. They're the name of it, RV Resort. They're the name of it, campground. Mount Vernon Thousand Trails is called Mount Vernon Thousand Trails, but it's actually in Bow, Washington. So you can just start with what you know, and you're likely going to get there, maybe with a tweak or two. So we have found our first location. I haven't figured out with this tool, looking in this list, I don't see an easy way to do I want to go to a second place. So here's my starting point. And now I want to go to a place number 2. So here's how and there might be many ways to skin the cat and many ways to do this, but here's what I do. I tack on once I find my first place I'm at, and I add the word to, and then I will add the next word of where I think I want to go. And I'm going to pick, to make it easy, Cherokee Lakes RV. And I know it's in Arkansas. So it's already showing me, if it had multiple places, it shows them down below in groups of 2. because at this point I'm doing a from to. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this one. And it shows that I'm going 19.35 hours, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't want to drive that far. So I need to pick some places in between. So I've got my book. Let's say I've gone through my book, and I've got Texas open. Obviously going between Verde Valley and wherever we're heading off to, Arkansas. Texas is a good middle point, and maybe I want to see how it breaks down my hours. So I've picked Texas, and I'm going to pick the top, the little upper part, and I'm going to type Comanche. And see, so it's not resolving well. I don't see anything good because I know what I'm looking for is Comanche campground. So let's type campground. So I don't even have to finish campground. And there's a couple of different places. I know by having the book open here that it's in Stinnett. So I click it. Notice it is out of order and it's having me go back. The easiest way to move things around in your map is dragging to reorder, which is on the left-hand side. So there we go. I have now broken up my trip into 3 different treks, broken up pretty much in the middle. I can change my route by doing some dragging and different things like that. However, right now I'm just looking to break down my hours of my journey into smaller chunks. So next I'm going to go. I know that that is still way too much time if the whole trek is 19 hours and I've picked someplace in the middle. That means it's still, you know, almost a 10-hour drive. And I want to drive maybe 6 hours. So I'm just going to grab New Mexico from the book. It's easier for me. You know, I could go to Passport America. So we could do that. And right now I have Texas open, but maybe I want to pick a different state. So I hit the back arrow. It does have a load. It's like a JavaScript, if you know what that is. So that it definitely has a little bit of a lag. It doesn't look like you can click on these states, but you actually can. So if I want to grab New Mexico, I can see the states in New Mexico. I know that I'm going to want to drive along this middle yellow route because I'm going through the upper part of Texas. So you could at this point just grab any one of these to start with. This is kind of my husband is a little bit of a throw the arrow. He's not looking at this point for phase 1 at anything specific more than just this is where I want to go. So this place is called Leisure Mountain RV Park. So I go back to my map. I add a destination, Leisure Mountain RV, and see, it already shows it in New Mexico. So I'm going to add it. Now, of course, it's in the wrong order, so then I'm going to move it up. I'm going to want to hit Leisure Mountain right after Verde Valley and before I hit Comanche. And I think I want to add something in Oklahoma to then map it out and see how I like it. So in this example of trying to go to Oklahoma using the Passport America tool, I have to actually go back to find campgrounds, let it all load, and re-choose a state. So every site's tool is a little bit different. They all sort of end up working the same. You'll love some and hate some. So I'm in Oklahoma, and I want to break my trek, the 18 hours. I know around Oklahoma City was like a halfway point. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Timeout RV Park, just because that sounds like a good one to pick. One of the things I do try to do subconsciously is avoid things very close to big cities, because I'd like to drive around the big cities and avoid driving through them. Google Maps is not going to guarantee you that, and that's where what my learning, and I've not ever invested in one, is a GPS that is geared toward RVing, like a high-end Garmin. I think it's a 770 is the model, and it is $400. So we have not invested in anything like that. So we do run the risk of going over bridges that we are too heavy for, maybe going under a bridge that's not high enough, and of course being driven through town, which we actually have been driven through a really horrible city. It's called Spokane. And here we were in a motorhome pulling our vehicle, in the middle of city traffic, and it was just a nightmare. So that is just the price you pay for being economical like we have been. So Timeout RV. I want to add Timeout RV. And it finds it, and it's in Oklahoma. I'm going to take it, and then I'm going to move it, and where I want to move it to is between the last place and Comanche. And so now I see my dots look pretty good. I've got 5 dots. This one leg might be a little bit on the long side, perhaps. But notice my overall time. It was 19 hours. Now we're up to 20 hours and 24 minutes because you're kind of going up and down and adding some extra miles. So at this point, what I might do, and that's pretty much what I would do, is I leave the big map. Let's say, in my case of traveling across the US, the most you can add are 10. So when I was going across the United States, in fact, my husband did this part. He added up all of his places, but then he also wants to add, I'm going to duplicate this because I want to work in smaller chunks now. I've got my big chunks, my chunk of 5, and now I want to just focus on the details of each leg of the journey. So I'm removing all of the extra legs, and I'm going to work on the first leg of my journey. Our rule of thumb for driving is 4 to 6 hours is ideal. So I see 6 hours. There's some alternate routes already, and none of these are scary to me. I see a lot of construction. I see there's one road blockage at some point. So I would pick this as a candidate, and I would, at this point, do right-click, print. I look at the printout. I do 2 prints. I first print to PDF, so it goes to my hard drive, so that I can have a hard copy of it. Or, not, sorry, a digital copy of it. And then I hit the print for my hard copy. And what I try to do is I add notes. This part of my journey starts at Verde Valley, and I'm going to Leisure Mountain RV Park, which is a PA park. So I'm going to do PA. I'm going to put the amount of money, phone, and I get this from either the hard copy or the book. Now, you'll notice when I was doing the dashes, it zoomed out every time I did the dash. That's one of the non-desirable behaviors of this tool. However, it's pretty simple. You just put your clicks back in. You get as close as you want to do. So before you hit your printout, you write notes. And the cool thing is that these notes then, this is why you keep an electronic copy, because once you hit the hard copy and you close this, your notes do go away. So I try to add my notes, do my electronic PDF copy, then do my hard copy, knowing I have the PDF copy available with my little notes. I might do things like check in greater than 2 p.m. So that would be just, have my little codes, and you can come up with your own little codes. And drive ups. Okay, so I add all my notes. Maybe make sure I know that there's a reservation required. Make sure I know if there's a specific check-in time so that we don't get up too early for no reason. And I print each leg of the journey out like this. If we're using our Leisure Mountain RV Park example, you can go to the website. I did see that all of these light blue items are links, so you can automatically start an email to them, and you can go to their website. So going to leisuremountain.com, takes you to their website. I like the website. I'm a web person, so I use the website as a way to validate, is this a mom and pop shop or a real organization and a fairly large site? So I look at this. It looks like a fairly well done website. I go to the rates. I check out, as I've mentioned, the various discounts that you can get and their rules. Club discounts, check-in, check-out time. If there's anything about what I'm finding, as I've already talked about, that I am not comfortable with, that's when reviews come in very handy. And in addition, if I'm staying more than a day or two, well, more than a day, I definitely want to know if I get cell reception there or if they have good Wi-Fi. So that's where the reviews come in. So if we go to the example where I'm looking at just the first leg of this journey going from Verde Valley to this RV park, that's a 6-hour trek away, you'll notice that from here you can scroll down, but you don't see anything about each individual location. So at this point, I would go up and create a duplicate, and from the duplicate, so we now have 3 duplicates going. We have the master list that has all of the different hops, up to 10. And then we have just what I'm working on right now, which is Verde Valley to Leisure Mountain. I've gone to the Leisure Mountain website, and perhaps there's something that I'm not quite comfortable with. It might even be late at night and I haven't been able to call them to really get that solid feeling of coming to visit them. So I might, at this point, go check out reviews. So what I do to do that is move Verde Valley down, and then you can highlight Verde Valley and hit delete. By highlighting it, it's just showing I've clicked once on it, and then once it's gone, let's see if this is going to work for me. It's possible that my thought is wrong and I'm going to hit. Yep, so that's the way we need to do it. You have to wipe it out, type Leisure Mountain again. You need to get it into Google by itself. Then you can see the reviews right here, and you see there are 34 reviews. I like 34 reviews. It gets 3.5. So, 4 and higher, of course, is better, but 3.5 for just one night isn't too bad. And now you can review what people have had for their experiences of staying there. You can sort by date. If you want either the highest rated, you want to see what the lowest rated things are, newest, all those things still apply. The other options, if Google reviews aren't quite working for you, is, as I've noted, you can use TripAdvisor or RV Park reviews as well. I generally, if I have to go deeper than Google reviews because there's not enough, I'm probably going to move on to the next location and try a different campground. Looking at. The next thing I do is I call them. I just tell them what I'm working on. If I'm coming in for just an overnight on, getting from here to there and needing to know if there's reservations. And if you do need to make a reservation, how easy it is to change. If I'm working on a 13-night journey, something could happen in the middle of it. I could even get tired and decide I need a break. We have done that more than once. And so I always want to know how flexible, if I have made formal reservations in the middle of my journey, how flexible are they on changing those dates? And I explain to them, it's not that I won't come to see you, it's that I might come a day late. I generally wouldn't come a day early. It would always be that I might take a day of rest and come a day later. So that pretty much sums up how I use Google Maps. When I do my actual driving, we do use our phones, the mapping tool. It is the Google Maps mapping tool. And again, it has those weaknesses I've already discussed. And we've never really been burned except that one time driving through Spokane, which was actually many years ago now. So maybe the tool is better. I don't know. But I don't have a way in the Google Maps tool that's in, and I use a Droid phone, and I don't have a way of saying, give me the best RV path. That's just not out there yet. So maybe it's coming, maybe it's not. So that's pretty much the extent of how I use Google Maps. Another thing that I will do on something that's more than 10 steps, but I want to see end to end what it's going to look like, I will do a fake map, and I might put, if it's 13 or 15 nights and 15 different places, I'll put 10 places in so I can just get a nice view, because I do take JPEGs or pings of those, and I will use them on my blog. So if you're a blogger and you want to get some nice maps because you don't have any images, you can always go ahead and kind of fake it and get the general gist of the journey and then save it as a ping and add it to your website. I use the snipping tool, by the way. If I want to do a snapshot of something for my blog, the snipping tool is part of Windows 10. I just type in down below where it says type here to search, I type snipping, and up pops the tool every time for me, so I don't have to dig through accessories to get to it. So that's just kind of a blogger tip. Or if you really want to just see this part of the map, you don't want to print out, let's say your printer is really expensive for color ink, you could easily do the snipping tool in just this central location and forget all of this extra stuff that you really don't care about. So that's another tip. So let's go. I already showed you how Passport America works. I very rarely use the electronic tool. In fact, this is the first time I've gone to use the electronic tool because I always use the book. You know, we still, being high-tech people, love our paper and our books. So it just is the main paper tool I start with is Passport America when I'm looking. And then I start digging in. Do I have a coast-to-coast option? Do I have a RPI option? I know most of my 1,000 trails by heart. Now, 1,000 trails for me is free to stay. So, of course, that is my preference. Over and above anything else is staying at 1,000 trails. But I only get 60 of those through the whole United States. And I have many hundreds with the others. So I have a lot more options there. This was that campground. Coast to coast. Here's the coast to coast interface. You can pick your state. By the time I have my map going, I don't necessarily have to pick the state. I don't know these states by heart, I will say. So if I want like Arkansas, I will just go ahead and click Arkansas. I am not too proud to try to come over here and I know it's Arkansas and I don't know, hey, is that one Arkansas or this one? So just go over and you can click the word. Once you click the word, it's a little slow right now. But again, kind of a JavaScripty. It has to load everything on the fly each time. These are not static images. They are generated images that have the little map tools, the little map indicators. So I'm looking in Arkansas, and if I want to stay at one of these places, I simply click it. There's really good information in here. So you can find out, you can check availability, which the interface is pretty cool. One point to note before I click on the check availability link is that this is only appearing because I am logged in as a member right now. Non-members who are just checking the resorts don't get this icon, nor the link. So once you're in the check availability space, in addition to checking availability, you get to actually make your reservation once you have made sure that it's available. All right, so here we are in the check availability interface, logged in as a member. There's a legend here that's across the top that indicates the various little symbols that you see for each date. So I want to pick a date. I'm going to pick the 20th. I'm going to go for 4 nights. There is a calendar interface that you might like to use. I'm going to check availability. It's thinking, and it has some symbols, and it even all of a sudden pops up this not symbol, which then below here indicates closed season. And a lot of the parks in the Midwest or up in the mountains will close sometime in October. So that's pretty standard. All right, so you'll notice it's an RV site we're looking at, and it costs us 1,000 points. So let's talk about the points system. Coast to Coast doesn't use real money. You purchase points, and then you use the points to buy your nights. Each night is 1,000 points, which equates to $10. So when you buy the points, as I have learned, when you buy the larger amounts of points, you get some nights off. I, of course, love to get a deal, so I went ahead and purchased 32,000 points for $300. So that's just something extra to think about. The reason why you want to get extra discounts is when we go back to the resort search and we look at this resort, talked about how wonderful the details are here. I want to point out under the RV notes is where you're going to find any additional charges. So in this case, if I wanted cable, I would have to pay $3 a night. And I went ahead and asked, does this come out of my points that I bought? And they said, no, you will settle up taxes. So there are taxes on those points, as well as any additional charges for, say, any extra electricity, in this case, cable, a resort fee perhaps. So keep in mind that when you get there, even though you've paid your points, you may have to pay for any additional charges that are specified, but they're all clearly written in the notes, so it's not like they're trying to trick you or anything. We see the information about the time of year that they're open, April through October. There's a rating up above here at the very top. The Good Sam Club rating is posted because these are part of the Good Sam network. So learn those ratings. A 7.65, kind of questionable, but for a one night, I wouldn't be bothered by it too much. You've got your phone numbers to contact them. You've got a website if you want to go review it. I can find out how many full sites they have. If I'm only going through for a night, I'm very interested in the 43 pull-through sites. And when I call them, I might specifically say, hey, I'd like a pull-through site. Though I find if you say you're staying one night, the campgrounds are pretty amenable and say, hey, we have pull-through sites. We'll put you in one of those. It's always good to know check-in, check-out times as well. And you can find out if they are pet-friendly. So it's a pretty good system. I really like their interfaces and as well as their reservation system. All right, now on to RPI. This is their homepage. It is a very simple interface. You have two things to do. You can plan your RV travel or look at your information. It's not quite clear that these are giant buttons, but they are, so I typically go right into RV travel. From here, I have some menu options, and I spend a lot of my time in the map search. The other thing that I do is look at the crediting system. RPI, you have to buy what are called res credits, and those res credits are for, they're $1 for each, and for every reservation you make, whether you do the online tool, which I'll explain in a minute, or you call them, it costs you $1. So it kind of feels like they're nickel and diming you, but I've learned to just live with it. I also felt that way when I noticed that, you know, here's these $10, but you can get charged electricity, an upcharge for 50 amp, you can get charged for cable. So knowing that they still will try to charge you more, little bit by little bit, I just realize I'm still getting my discounts and I roll with it. So once you go into this interface and you are in the mapping area, it is dynamic. It moves with your mouse automatically. So it also has the names of the states, similar to our first tool, Passport America. And I like that it has the names of the states on the map, which is perfect. And I use this interface. I scroll around. Here's the legend of what each colored map icon is. And for me, I like RPI and RPI preferred. I stay away from Encore, and I enjoy America is half off one night. And I have used it as a last resort. I choose Passport America over Enjoy America, but they kind of are the same. So let's say I want to stay here at the Blue Mesa Recreational Ranch, or I want to research it some more. I can go explore the page, which gives you all those details, similar to Coast to Coast. I can also make a reservation, but I will tell you that the reservation system is simply sending an email, and somebody is going to have to manually call the resort or the campground and make it for you. So I have found, and I've been told, that if you want to make sure your reservation gets done immediately, you need to call them. And they are open the weekdays as well as a half day on Saturday. So if I go in and explore the details, there it goes. All right, so here's the RPI reservations. I like how they have a really simple interface that's easy to see how you can make a reservation, what their hours are that you can call, how big is the campground, what kind of amps does it have, what's the longest rig they can handle, and when they're open. So I like that. You also can check the guidelines for details. Here you go. They have a special fee for internet, $3. And if a 50 amp is available, you have to pay for it extra $5. So there you go. And I get to see how much in advance I can make my reservation. Sometimes they're not 60 days. They do a 30-day or maybe a 90-day. It looks like at this place, if I want to stay there, I have to stay a minimum of 2 nights and no reservations accepted during the holiday weekends. And there's the reservation cancellation policy, which is really important, as well as the check-in and check-out time. So really nice interface. I like it a lot. Remember that if you click the email, request RV site, it's a little odd. It should say like reserve an RV site, but it's requesting an RV site. And then you fill out the field, and this literally is sending an email off to one of the phone people, and the phone people are going to manually work through the process. There's no automation here. They're not plugged in with their resorts in any way. So that's important to note. Where Coast to Coast is tied in, and when you make a reservation, it's automatically sending the reservation to the campground. No, it's not a manual person calling anybody. So that's the end of the resort parks, and I really do like their interface.